Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Making Connections. As we come to a close with National Indigenous History Month, we have a special episode where we reconvened and reunited with some of the young ambassadors who've come on some trips with us. And we have an honorary guest of Andrew Koostachin who shares a wonderful story with us. We also have Paulo with us. Paulo, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Dan. Really excited for this one. It's a special reunion for us. I personally miss some of these people that went up to Attawapiskat with us. And like you said, Andrew Koostachin is a great addition to this show because he has amazing insights, and we're all going to learn a lot from him.
Isn't he amazing? You just gravitate to him and just, we've heard his story so many times, but yet every time he shares it, I just seem to get more and more in depth with it.
Yeah, I feel sorry for people who haven't had a chance to actually be with him face to face. While it's great to listen to him and hear virtually, when you are with him and you feel the energy, it's really special. I know, and you and I had that opportunity numerous times, and he's such an inspiration, and he knows it. I mean, he sees the world in a way that we don't see, right? I mean, he has a different way of life. He lives in a different place. He's more grounded than we are, less distracted. So, it's really inspiring to have that perspective.
Having Andrew was a real honor, and to have him share his story with all the listeners, and, to have him share the story with some of our students that have been with us in the past, it's going to be special for them to hear it. And it's obviously special for our listeners. So we're really happy to share this one with you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Andrew Koostachin looks like he joined us.
Good to see you.
Hi, Andrew. Nice that you joined us. That's very nice of you. I know that you have you told me yesterday you have a busy day today, but you made the time. So that's very nice of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh man, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, we miss you all. We miss going up there, to be honest with you. And
oh jeez.
Yeah, it's been rough, right, with this pandemic.
Yeah, it's been holding us off at home. So what can you do rather than stay safe? That's the main thing. And I talked to elders about this. What does this mean? This COVID, and there's a lot of teachings that comes with it. What I'm hearing from elders is it's teaching us to, first of all, to put everything, life, as being precious, right? And life is everything, what's around you. And, you put your creator, God, first, and then you have your family. So I think this is what COVID is teaching us to realize, like we have our creator and our family with us, and it's really like teaching us to realize what's valuable, what's precious, right? So that's what I'm hearing from elders.
It's funny you speak about some of the importance in life, some of the things that maybe we've taken for granted, and I'll tell you that's one thing that it definitely brings family closer together when you're kind of stuck in these tight quarters with them. And you know what? Sometimes you realize that that's the most important thing. And if you have those strong connections next to you, it's really, really precious. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And I think that definitely COVID has definitely put a few things in perspective for a lot of people. And I would imagine it did for you guys as well. I know you guys are already in a very remote community, and getting in and out of your area is difficult, but even being more stranded as far as let's call it more remote by being in lockdown, it just definitely puts things in perspective as far as family, right? And how are you guys dealing with this pandemic?
The first I noticed that we this is in last just after Christmas last year when it hit our area, and right away they formed a pandemic committee, and I was part of that. That group, and because I sit on council as well, so we had sat in with a couple elders as well with our group, and everything is new, like COVID. Nobody knows about this virus, so we're all just putting our heads together. Priority being the safety of our community, So we sat down and we started going through all different, like, protocols that we're supposed to, trying to come up with different plans and everything. And we knew we're isolated enough that, but eventually we knew it was going to come here. So we had made plans like how we're going to deal with people who will get the virus, like how we're going to isolate them. And this is before, this is before the vaccine. So we were thinking of even like, we're so remote up here. We have within 10 minutes drive, we had 10-minute drive, and I took you guys there, 10-minute drive out towards our bay area. So we go out, and it's all trees out there. So we thought about setting up camps over there, but that didn't materialize. But anyway, fast forward to now, uh, we've had cases in the community. Kasashuan, which is maybe 90 kilometers south of us, the other community was hit hard last week. The last 2 weeks, they've been hit hard. They had like over 200 cases in a population of maybe 15, 1,600 people. Attawapiskat, our numbers went as high as 20, close to 30, 27, I think was the highest. Now it's gone down. Now we got the vaccine, and people has learned to isolate. People has learned to stay home and social distance from each other. We've brought the numbers down, and so as well as our neighbors in Saskatchewan, their numbers has gone down below 200 now. They were up to 226 at one point, but we're still very vigilant. We're still, being careful. We're all still on lockdown. Council declared a state of emergency a couple weeks ago when our numbers were going up. That declaration hasn't been lifted yet, so we're still on a lockdown until the whole region in our area, James Bay area, is down, like have no more cases. It's scary being like, so isolated. We don't really have a hospital, even though there's a hospital here. It's not like the hospital you have down south, where you have access to doctors and specialists like that. In Attawapiskat, we don't have that. So this is where it gets challenging and worrisome as well too, because we don't know how things are going to go from one day to the next. I know, and I have to be frank, I have to be honest. We're in a pandemic within a pandemic. We have our drug issue, our opioid drug issue with our members, especially the younger people. So we've had that crisis even before COVID reached our community. And Paulo, you and I talked about this when you came up, and the same with with all your group there. I was very honest about that, and that's one of the challenges being in a small community is, and it's not just Attawapiskat, it's the other communities. It's everywhere. It's sad, and it's it affects everybody, and so trying to work with our situation with the new crisis or the new pandemic that came in, it was tough.
You are a source of inspiration to us. You have so many amazing insights. You see the world in a way that it really inspires us. We've told you that many times. And so we'd like to have
Thank
you. Thank you for being that inspiration. And so we'd like to ask you about your perspective on two things. It's a question with two parts, if you don't mind me asking. One is, we try to go up there to Attawapiskat to build connections and to kind of bring youth closer together. So I'd like to ask you, what do you think the role of non-Indigenous people people is, in the process of reconciliation. And the second question is, and it's tied to that, do you think that what the findings in Kamloops is going to set us back in terms of like the relationship between indigenous and non-indigenous? Is that going to break the trust in some way?
I spoke about our community situation with our community problems with drugs, and and I always felt like with our we try to target the young people because they're the future of our community, and if we can reach to those young people and have other young people come up from down south, they can see, if they interact with the other young people down south, they can share their challenges, their struggles. And that's one of the, the beauty of having young people like that you grouped up here, is to actually see firsthand like how these kids up here are the same as like the kids down south. They have their ambitions, they have their dreams. You know, the only difference is like they live here in a small remote community. That's the only difference, and they have their dreams that they want to become hockey players. They want to become. Now that you brought the soccer program, a lot of them dream of I know they watch the well, over there now they call it football, right? In Europe, but I see some of these kids and I see like I watch it on TV, and and that's one of the inspirations you brought into our community is the football, like the soccer program, and but it's more, what you brought is more than that. It's friendship. It's the lasting friendships that you created up here. I know there's the young, like my son's friends. They're like teenagers, and some of them are older now, and I see them like from day to day, like around the community, and they're really, you used the word inspired. It comes both ways. Like you've inspired these young people to to make a better life for themselves, and that's one of the nice things, having your soccer program coming into our community. They can see that there's other things out there that you can do, and having young people, uh, they can interact so well. Young people are so good in communicating with each other because they have so many similarities, that in not only music or other sports and stuff like that. They have so many connections together. As with the uh, the recent discovery of the unmarked graves, uh, that happened for a reason. I think that happened for a reason because a lot of people felt in 2008, when former Prime Minister uh, made that apology to the residential school survivors. Uh, Stephen Harper is the prime minister I was referred in 2008, when he made that public apology at the House of Commons. A lot of people, a lot of survivors, the residential school survivors, felt it didn't, like it wasn't real because, well, first of all, he was reading it off on the paper. He was reading the apology. It was written down. If I did something to you, I would just come to you. I wouldn't have to read it off to you and say, Paulo, I apologize for doing things to you so many years ago, and on behalf of no, I would come to you and I would just look at you in the eyes. I would say what I feel inside. That's what a real apology is, like when you feel it and you don't read it. So a lot of I heard that from a lot of survivors. I'm not a residential school survivor myself, but my mother was, and he passed away in 2016, the fall of 2016. And she spoke a little bit about her experience, but a lot of it she kept in, and there was a reason for that. So, but I work with two of the residential school survivors who went to residential school in Fort Albany, the infamous residential school in Fort Albany, St. Anne's Residential School. So now having to show Canada the proof that yes, there was genocide done to our people. Yes, there was assimilation, and I use the word ugly things done to little children. It was recent. I think the last residential school that was closed was in 1996. I forget where, but 1996 was the last residential school that was closed in Canada. That's not that far away. You know, that's when you do the math, that's like not even 30 years ago. Have these unmarked graves like being discovered. It's not only in BC now, it's in Saskatchewan, it's in Manitoba, and there'll be more. There'll be more. And hopefully one day everybody will understand what happened here. You know, we know about what happened to the Jews in the Great Wars. Well, it's very similar with our original people here and the history of Canada. It's very similar. The genocide, the killings of the First Nation people of this land. But I'm gonna share something with you. I want to share with you. I'm gonna say something nice. I'm gonna say something nice in my own original language. I'll do that, and I'll explain to you what it means after. So, I greet you all today. This is my language, my native language, and I just want to show you that I didn't lose it. I lost a little bit of it, but I just want to share and listen to how beautiful it is. My language. Kuachimetinong, Misway, Emino, Ininokishagak. What I said is I greet you all today, the recognition of the National Indigenous Day. That's what I said. Kuachimetinong, Misway, Emino, Ininokishagak.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it is as heartfelt to you as it is to us. And, this story today, this call comes on National Indigenous Peoples Day. So we found it nice that Andrew could take the time to join us on such a special day. And he honored us with his presence.
It's always important to get Indigenous perspective, and Andrew Koostachin is qualified not only because he's Indigenous, but because he's heavily involved in the community. He's an advocate for the community of Attawapiskat and the Indigenous community of Canada. He's a member of council in Attawapiskat. He's the recreational director in Attawapiskat, and he's the father of Andrew Koostachin, a Canadian hero who fought for the right for equality of education in Attawapiskat by convincing the government to enact a bill called Shannon's Dream. And it's because of her that Attawapiskat has a new elementary school today.
Thank you again for listening.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all next week.